Here are the 12 questions that are on the test. One thing nice, and this is like where you don't have to memorize a bunch of different things for this. As for like this one right here, like the difference between descriptive and roster form, you can use the question to answer your own, like know it. So like descriptive form just describes it, whereas roster form uses the bracket and then puts commas in between them. So you can actually see the different problems are like, you don't have to know what roster form means. Like it shows you right here in this problem. So you don't have to like memorize what descriptive and roster form are because they show you right there in A and B and C. All right, so descriptive form, the set of animal types at the shelter treated by Dr. Bailey. So I do the brackets. Now we got to go look at these. Fish and gerbils are treated by both of them. So fish and gerbils by Kelly and Bailey. Birds, snakes, turtles were treated by Kelly but not Bailey, so we don't want that one. Cats, dogs, rabbits were treated by Bailey but not Kelly, so we do want that one. Cats, and this is where like I just almost didn't put a comma there, so if you on the test don't put a comma but get it right, like I definitely will give you the points for that, so be sure to double check your test to see. And it says mice were treated by neither Dr. Kelly nor Bailey, so that should be the answer for that one. All right, next one gives us a roster form. We have to come up with the descriptive form. Fish, gerbils, birds, snakes, turtles, cats, dogs, rabbits. Fish and gerbils were treated by both. Birds, snakes, turtles were treated by Kelly, but not Bailey. Cats, dogs, rabbits were treated by Bailey, but not Kelly. Okay, so go and look at the list. You may have to look at these. I think it's this one right here. Because fish and gerbils were both, right? Birds, snakes, turtles were Kelly. And cats, dogs, rabbits were Bailey. So it could be treated by Kelly, Daly, or both. That should be like all the possible options there. Okay. So you just got to fit the one that describes that set the best. Here's another one. Birds, snakes, turtles, mice. Birds, snakes, and turtles were treated by Kelly, but not Bailey. And mice weren't treated by either one. So Bailey has nothing to do with any of those four. So is there a not? How about not treated by Bailey? Bird, snakes, turtles were treated by Kelly, but not Bailey. And then mice aren't treated by either one of them. So those four would be the ones that Bailey does not treat. All right? We'll check it to make sure. So you got to be a little careful with the wording on those. You can you could draw a little Venn diagram out if you wanted to, if that helps you. Just read through those and find those. All right, number two. Number two is finite versus infinite. It has a cardinality. If it's finite, cardinality is how many there are, how many elements there are in each one. So the first one, A, 35, 36, 37, but then ... that means it goes on forever, so it is an infinite amount. KTU is finite, and there are only 3 there. Okay. The set of integers greater than 11 and less than 19. Greater than 11 would be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and you don't count 19. So it should be 7, right? If you need to write this out. Oh, let me, no, I won't include. Some of these like this, it doesn't hurt to write out. So the set of integers greater than 11, so I don't count 11. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, less than 19, so I don't count 19. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this would be finite and 7. Okay. There was a weird one last class that I don't think I'd ever seen before, just to let you know. And it said like, somebody might have seen this on homework or something, but it said like the set of even numbers of 3, 5, and 7. Okay. Well, obviously, there's not any even numbers, so this would be finite, and the cardinality would be 0. Okay. Like, that's kind of a dub, but it's just a weird one that I've never seen before, so I figured I'd mention it. That's fine. All right, this is the one like formula that you have to remember, but it shouldn't be too hard. There are 9 members of a jazz club who are listed below. A concert director can choose some or none of them to be part of a large show. He can't choose to have all of them. Okay, so the formula here is 2 to the power of how many there are, 2 to the n. What you're trying to do here is come up with the number of subsets. How many different subsets could I create with this? So I'm going to do 2 to the 9th, so I can create 512 different subsets. Okay, 2 to the 9th is 512, but it says he can't choose to have all of them. So that is one subset that I cannot have, so I'm going to subtract 1. On almost all of these, they're going to say something like that, where you can't choose all of them or anything like that. Do I still have? Yes, I do. Okay. Last class, we just kind of went over this for a second, but it was create all the possible subsets of being able to travel through these, and it said she's going to go to some of them or all of them, but she's got to go to at least one of them, right? So all the different subsets here, and I'm going to use this because yours is 512 and this is a little shorter. So like all the different subsets, the empty set is a subset. She could go to 1 city, that's a subset. She could go to 2 cities and all the different combinations that creates. She could go to 3 cities and all the different combinations that creates. She could go to 4 cities, 5 cities, 6 cities, okay? But it said she had to go to at least one of them, so we do not count the empty set, okay? So on almost all of these, you're going to subtract 1 from it because it says something like that. It is possible that you don't have to subtract one of them, but if it has a condition like that where it says you can't use all of them or you can't do none of them, you have to subtract 1 from that, from the 2 to the n, okay? So like on this one, we do 2 to the 9th because the director can choose some or none of them, but he can't choose to have all of them. So we have to subtract 1 from that 2 to the 9th. Number 4, roster form. What do y'all remember? What does A apostrophe mean? The not. Okay, it's called the complement. It is what's not in A. So if A has F, H, P, Q, then not A would just be, on this one, it'd just be G. Okay, so everything is either in A or not in A. So if I look at A and A not, like it should, or everything that's here should be in the universal one. If C not is G and H, then C has to be F, P, Q. Okay, so that time they give me the not and I find the original, but again, everything has to be in C not or C. So you should have all the letters there for those. So the apostrophe means the not. Number 5, looking at these have multiple steps on it. This is number 5. Okay, so just to refresh real quick, U is the union. This means or. You bring together or combine. The upside down U is the intersection. This is and it's what they share. And then, of course, we just talked about that. The apostrophe is not in A. What you can do on this is use order of operations, okay? Like a parentheses or an exponent. We can do another one if we need to because there's no parentheses on this one. But I would figure out what B naught is, and I would figure out what C naught is, and then I would worry about the union here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and write B naught right here. B naught is, well, B is 1, 2, 5, so B naught would be 3, 4, 8, 9. And then I also need C naught. C is 2, 4, 5, 9. So 1, 3, and 8 would be C naught. Okay, so go ahead and find the pieces of that. Now I'm doing the or. It could be in B naught or C naught. So I bring those together, I combine them. It is going to be, you do not have to write them in order either. 3, 4, 8, 9, through 1, 3, and 8 are already in there. So I'm combining both of this one and this one, putting them together. All right, next one is B naught and C. So on B naught and C, I'm going to use this one and this one. The and means what they share. So what do the 2 by the red star share? 3, they have a 4 and a 9. Okay, so I already had the B naught for that, but if I didn't have it, it's easier to write it down so you can look at those. So B naught and C is what they share. So make sure you take those step by step. If you need to write down B naught, if you need to write down C naught. Here, I'm going to just make one up so we have it. But the other one we saw in the last class is something like B union C naught. Okay, so on this one, you should write down what B union C is. B union C would be or, so I'm combining them. It would be 1, 2, 5, 4, 9, right? 1, 2, 5, 2's already in there, 4 and 9, okay. So B union C would be all of that, but then I find the not of that. So I find everything that's not in there. That would be what? 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5's in there, 8, 3 and 8, okay. So on that one, like order of operations does work on here. Like do the parentheses and then do the exponent. The exponent in this scenario is like the apostrophe. So write those down, do them step by step. It's hard to think about multiple steps at one time. Number 6 has to do with the union and intersection of, actually, give me some more space there. I might work some extra ones. Union and intersection of the universal set. So the universal set, I know I can't write in italics, but the universal set is like all the possible options. And then the empty set is like nothing. There's nothing inside there, okay? So when I do this one right here, it's C or the universal set. So I'm looking at anything in this one or this one. So I combine them, I bring them together. It's actually just going to be the universal set. It's going to be H, P, Q, R, X, Y. Everything that's, it's anything here or here. Okay. When we lectured over this, there was a couple like shortcuts that I showed you, but you do not have to know those. You can just think through these. On the next one, it's C and C naught. Well, C naught, if C is H, R, Y, C naught would be P, Q, and X. But the and is what do they share? Well, if you're in C, you're either in C or not in C. They do not share anything. So my answer here is the empty set. Another variation that we got last class. C and the empty set. Okay, C and the empty set. This one is saying, what do C and nothing share? Well, it's going to be nothing, right? I was trying to think of some more. C intersection the universal. What do C and the universal share? That would be in what do these two share right here? It's actually going to be, the universal has everything, so it's going to be just what's in C. Okay. I guess there's one more I could do real quick. C union the empty set. What is in C or the empty set? Well, this again is just going to be C because I'm adding C plus nothing is just C. Okay, so you don't really have to remember the different rules that I showed you on there. You can just kind of think through them. It's just like the universal set is everything and the empty set is nothing. So what is C or nothing? What is C and nothing? Number 7 is moving to Venn diagrams. On this one, you just got to be careful of the different wordings of the questions. Select all the genres that Henry does not like. Where is Henry? Henry is right there in nonsense and romance. So the only thing he does not like is comedy. He's not in the comedy circle. How many students only like romance? Y'all can answer that. How many students only like romance? 3. Correct. So the only Deandra, Austin, and Nicole, those are the ones that only like romance. They do not like any other genre. Which students like neither nonsense, nor comedy, nor romance? That would be everything outside the circles. Vanya, Latoya, where's that? Milan, Juan. Okay. So just be careful of the wording of those. This is just reading the Venn diagram. Number 8. A drug trial had 177 participants. How many of the participants had drowsiness? Okay. How many had drowsiness? Well, you got to add up everything in the drowsiness circle. So even though they had nausea too, if you ask the people that had nausea and drowsiness if they had drowsiness, they're going to say yes, even though they had nausea too. So you add up everything inside the drowsiness circle. That'd be 112. How many of the participants had neither drowsiness nor nausea? They didn't have anything. These would be the people outside the circle. How many of the participants did not have both drowsiness and nausea? What numbers am I adding up here? So it'd be 29. 29 and 38. Because how many did not have both, right? So 29 had only drowsiness. 38 had only nausea. But do not forget the 27. Those people did not have both either. They didn't have any of them. So that should be 94. We'll check that real quick to make sure I read it right. But yeah. So be careful of those, the wording of those. Like go through each one. Like just think about it. If you ask somebody that only had drowsiness, if they had, or if let me think. Sorry, scenario there. Sorry. If you asking people if they had both drowsiness and nausea, even if they had drowsiness, they're going to answer no to that question because they didn't have nausea. They didn't have both. All right, on this one, you got to build the Venn diagram, so you got to drag them in there. The hard part about this one is trying to figure out the end. We'll do some more variations of this if we have to. So A is only in X. B is only in Z. C is not in either of them. D is in both of them. E is in Z. F is in X. G is not in any of them. H is in only Z. Okay? So I have no blank areas on my circle, so I just leave it alone. If you have a blank area in one of those circles, then you need to go back and change the one of these pictures here on the bottom. So I'll come back and work some more variations of that, or maybe we'll see it on the next problem too. That's the problem we just did. Didn't I click 9? Oh, we're on 10. Look at this just flying through the... All right, on this one, you are filling these out. We'll have to fill one out on number 12 too. But when you fill these out, it's just always easier to work from the bottom top. I have no idea. That's just why the problems are written or how they're written. So how many people like both jazz and rap? That would be 39. So that's my number in the middle. But then it says how many of them like rap. Okay. Well, if I ask the people that like jazz and rap if they like rap, they're going to say yes, right? So I already have 39 in that circle. So I need to do 66 minus 39. And that will give me how many only like rap. So now everybody that's in the rap circle adds up to be 66. Okay, you should do some subtraction on these problems. Same thing with jazz. I have 182 that like jazz, but I already have 39 in this jazz circle. So 182 minus 39 would be 143. Okay, and then the last number you got to figure out is the number on the outside. There are 241 people that we surveyed. You can see that in the first sentence there, first few words. We have 143 minus 39 minus 27 already in the circles. So there are 32 that are outside there. So I'm going to go back to that on my calculator screen. But you got to add up everything in the circles and subtract it, or just subtract it individually like that. These questions right here, I feel like help you fill out the circle if you get stuck. How many of the freshmen like jazz but don't like rap? Okay, so if I was just looking at that chart, I could do, okay, that tells me to do 182 minus 39. We already filled it out in the chart, but that kind of helps you with the subtraction process. And then how many freshmen like jazz or rap or both? Well, that goes back to what I have in the calculator right here. That's everything inside the circles. 143 plus 39 plus 27, and I get 209. Okay. I'll double check this because I got one wrong last class because I put it in the wrong spot. I wasn't looking. All right, on to the 3 Venn diagrams. So this is just reading it. How many people own a dog? This would be everything inside the dog circle. If you own a dog and a bird, and I ask you if you own a dog, you would still say yes. Okay, so it's everything inside the dog circle. That'd be 347. How many of the people own neither a dog nor a fish? Neither a dog nor a fish. So it cannot be in the dog or the fish circle. So the people that only own a bird or the people that do not own a pet at all. So I'd add those up and get 152. How many of the people own a bird and a fish but don't own a dog? Bird and a fish. Okay, so the bird and a fish are right here, but it says don't own a dog, so I'm only looking at the 92, okay? So 92 plus 33 own a bird, a dog, and a fish. I'm sorry, 33 own a bird, a dog, and a fish, but 92 only own a bird and a fish but don't own a dog. And the last problem here is the filling out of the 3. Looks like we got the hard one. There's 2 different versions of this. We can go do the other one if we need to. All right. I always start at the bottom. I don't know why. It just kind of works out. 674 surveyed in all. 567 of the people own at least one of these 3 types of pets. That tells me all the numbers that are going to be in the circle. So 674 total. And 567 are inside the circles. That leaves 107 on the outside. Okay. 87 of the people own a dog but don't own a bird or a cat. So 87 own a dog. That's going to go in the only dog section. 127 people own a cat but don't own a bird or a dog. So 127 own a cat. 47 of the people own a bird but don't own a dog nor a cat. So how many did I say? 47 own a bird. Okay. Keep working up. 52 of the people own both a bird and a dog but don't own a cat. So 52 own a bird and a dog but don't own a cat. So that would be this one right here. Haven't had to do very much subtraction yet. 42 of the people own both a bird and a cat but don't own a dog. So that would be bird and a dog. I'm sorry. Bird and a cat, not a dog. So that'd be the red and the purple circle. Okay. 212 people own a bird. That would be everything inside the circle has to add up to be 212. So now I can figure out my middle number here by subtracting what I have given right there. So 212, everything in the red circle should add up to 212. So I do 212 minus 47, 42, 52. And I get 71 here in the middle. And now I can figure out my last number by doing, because I'm only missing 1, so I know there's 674 total. So if I subtract 47, 42, 71, 52, 87, 127, 107. Okay, so if I subtract 674 minus all the other numbers, that should give me my answer here of 141. To double check this, you can add them all back up, make sure they add up to 674. How many people don't own a cat? What is that? 47 is outside the cat circle. 52 is outside the cat circle. 87 outside. And then don't forget the 107 as well. They don't own any, so they do not own a cat. So check that. Okay. If there's any other problems that you want me to work, I'll go back over any of those. Those are the 12 problems that are on the test. I know there was one where I said I'm going to, actually, let me just do this and see if I get different variations real quick. There's a couple different variations that I wanted to look at to make sure. We'll see if I get it this time. Oh, it's probably open there. Okay. Oh, wait, this one, okay. Ahmad is going on a trip. He can take some, none, or all the 7 novels with the list below. Okay, so this one would just be 2 to the 7th. It doesn't say that he can't take none of them or can't take all of them. It says he can take some of them, none of them, or all of them. So that answer is just 128. There is no subtraction on that one. We did that. We did some more variations of that. Again, if you want to go over any of these, that's fine. Where was the one? This one. Oh, it did. Sweet. Okay. Just to go through this one where there's a different scenario. A is in X. B is in X. C is in X. F is in both. Oh, I forgot. I'll go in order. D's not in either of them. E's not in either of them. F is in both. G's not in either of them. H is in both. I isn't in either of them. Okay. So here you have a blank area. When you have a blank area, that means you need to choose one of these different pictures on the bottom. What this is saying is everything that is in the blue is in the red, right? So that means I need to pick the one where the blue is in the red. Okay. If there wasn't anything in the middle, then I don't need any overlap, so I pick the second one. Okay. But this one right here is probably the more confusing one, and that's the way I remember it. This is saying that everything that's in the blue is in the red, so I pick the blue in the red circle. Okay. If you pick the wrong one, and this is a good way to check, if I pick the wrong one, it shoots some back over there to the beginning because it doesn't have anywhere to put them. So you know you did, that's probably not the right answer. Okay. So you kind of can walk through those. That's because these go here. But that's the way I remember. And again, when you do this problem, man, come on, iPad. When you do this problem, if there is a blank in any of these 3 spots, then you are going to select a different picture. Yeah, we'll do this one real quick because why not? This is the other variation of this problem. 53, start on the bottom because it just works better. 53 of the students don't drink any of these 3 types, so that's on the outside. 37 of them do drink all 3 types. That goes in the very, very middle. Now you got to start doing the subtraction. 168 of the students drink soda and coffee. Okay. But I already have 37 in there. 168 drink soda and coffee minus 37. That would be 131. Okay. 143 drink tea and coffee. Okay. But again, remember the thought process here is if I ask those 37 people who drink all 3, if they drink tea and coffee, they would say yes. So I need to subtract those 37 out, and I get 106. So the people that drink tea and coffee is 143 total in the blue and the purple circle. 104 drink soda and tea, same thing. Subtract that 37 out. So I get 67 for that one. 291 of them drink tea. 291 drink tea. But we already have a 67 in there, a 37 in there, and a 106 in there. So everything inside the blue circle should add up to be 291. So we subtract the numbers we already have in there, and we get 81. And then 283 drinks soda. So we need to subtract all the numbers that we already have in soda. And that is 48. Okay. And then to find our last number, you can always use your total amount and subtract every number that's in there. 48 minus 67 minus 131 minus 37 minus 81 minus 106 minus, don't forget the 53. Okay. And a good check on that is to add them all back up and make sure they add up to 644. How y'all feeling? Better? Is there any of these other problems you want me to redo and do a different variation? Yes.
I will be using the proper subsets versus subsets as single.
The proper subsets versus the subsets? Okay. Proper subsets versus subsets. I'm just going to go to the topic so I can pull. So this is the one that's on the test. Okay, the difference between subset and proper subset. Let me see if I can find that in our notes real quick. Okay, so subsets is any combination of the original sets, okay? So in our example right here that I have, there are 5 options. There. Y'all let me know when the next time a math professor in class pulls up and uses AI. But I don't want to really have to write out all 32 of those sets, right? Okay. So here's all the different 32 options. And again, the way we do that, the way we find that to figure out the number of subsets, where'd it go? We would do 2 to the n, 2 to the 5th power, because there's 5 people, okay? So that's 32 possible subsets, okay? So here are the possible subsets. You could add the subset, nobody in it. That counts as one subset. I did the example in class that if my set is my keys and my AirPods, right? My subsets would be, my keys and my AirPod would be one subset, my AirPod would be a subset, my keys would be a subset. But if I take these out, I still have my set here, right? So the empty set counts as a subset. So there's nothing in there. You can do a subset with 1 in there. You can do a subset with 2, all the different combinations of 2. You can do the combination of all the different subsets with 3. You can do all the combinations with 4, right? And then you can put everybody in there does count as a full set, okay? These are all the possible subsets. A proper subset is all those options except the original, okay? The proper subset does not include the original. If you think about like the word like proper, it's not proper because this is the same thing as the original. This is everything. So the proper subsets is always 2 to the n minus 1 because it does not include this one. Okay, let me go back to my definitions there for a second. So the proper subsets includes all the subsets except the original. The way that I always remember this too is like the symbols. This isn't on the test, but the symbol for subset kind of looks like less than or equal to. So that means it includes the one that's equal to it, the same one. The proper subset doesn't have that line underneath, so you do not include the original. So a subset is all the possible options, combinations that you can create, whereas a proper subset does not include the original one. Okay, so for on the test, this one says the concert director can choose some, none, or all of them. So my answer is just 32. We did not get one of these when we did it. Oh my goodness. All right. Here, Jim, a college freshman, is deciding on a college class. He can choose to take some or all of the 5 classes from the list below. He must take at least one of them. So there's 5 classes, so I do 2 to the 5th. Okay. So if he took some, there's 32 different combinations of classes he could take. He could take none of them. He could take 1 of them. He could take 2 of them. He could take 3 of them. He could take 4 of them. He could take 5 of them, right? But it says he must take at least one of them. So I do not count the none set, the empty set, where there's none of them. So I subtract 1 from there, and I get 31. 31 would be my answer on this one, okay? The other variation that they do... Oh, man, that was it. I skipped past it. If I don't find it here in just 2 seconds, I'll just tell you. Here, this is fine. So she's writing a paper about these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. So I do 2 to the 6. That's 64 different options, but it says she doesn't have time to write about all of them. So on this one, this is a proper subset because I'm taking away the set with all of them. So my answer is actually 63 on this one. So if it has that, if she can't do all of them or they can't do none of them, then you take away one of them. Does that answer your question a little bit? Okay. So this is the only like formula you got to know for the test is 2 to the n, okay? 2 to the number of elements. That's not really a formula, so I probably won't write that on the board. Any other variations of ones you want me to go over? What'd you say? 2 to the n?
Okay.
Yeah. The n is the number of elements. So like on this one, there's 6. So it'd be 2 to the 6. Yes. Okay. That's the only thing you got to know. Yeah.
Can you please go over it? I know you went over it twice, but so like all the numbers, you have to like solve it in the Venn diagram.
Like construct making it.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, like this one?
Yeah.
Okay, this one. Let me. Sorry, I was going to the other one. Nope, not that one. Well, where is it? There we go. All right, so it's always easier to start on the bottom of this. I don't know why, like ever since I did these problems way back when, it's just always easier. So 180 of the students don't drink any of these three types of milk. So they don't drink any of them, so they're going to be, or not types of milk, but types of drinks. So they don't drink any of them, so they're on the outside of the circles, okay? 52 of them drink all three. So it's got to go in all three circles, so that's going to be my number in the very middle. Okay. 123 drink both milk and tea. Okay, so milk and tea is the red and the blue. So these numbers all have to add up to be 123. But I already have a 52 in there, so I'm going to do 123 minus 52. So that would be 71. So now everything in the red and the blue circle add up to be 123. Okay. 99 drink both coffee and tea. So same thing as this. Coffee and tea is the blue and the purple. So 99 had to be in here, but I already have a 52 in there. So 99 minus 52 would be 47. Okay. 184 drink milk and coffee. So milk and coffee is the red and the blue, but I already have 52 in there, so I subtract 52. That's 132. Okay. 397 drink milk. So milk is the red circle. Okay. So I know that everything in the red circle has to add up to be 397. So I'm going to subtract all those other numbers that are in the red circle. So I subtract 132 minus 52 minus 71. So I get 142. Okay. What's next? 397. 299. 299 drink coffee. So again, in the blue circle, everything has to add up to be 299 in my blue circle. So I'm going to subtract all those numbers that are already in there to figure out the one that's missing. So 132 minus 52 minus 47. That would be 68. And then the only other number we have left is the 662 total people surveyed. But I'm only missing one number, so I can subtract all the numbers that I have, and it will give me the one that I'm missing. That should be 42. And again, a good check on this is to add all those numbers back up and make sure they equal the 662. That usually means you did it right. Does that help a little bit? Okay. What else? This is your review day, so happy to keep working the different problems.